Hi everyone, this is Krystal, and today I am very excited to be sharing my first week in my 2020 Project Life album. If you saw the video on my channel earlier this week, then you may already know that I have gone back to 12 by 12. Last year I did 6 by 8, and I've also gone back to a weekly format. So last year I just did monthly, and it just got to be very overwhelming. So by breaking it down into weeks, I'm hoping to get through this project and get it completed in this year, or very close to in this year. So that is my plan. This is my page. I am using all the same page style throughout my album. It's just the Becky Higgins style A with the 4 by 6 and 4 3 by 4s. This week one, I was actually sick for pretty much the entire week. So I didn't have a lot of photos. I didn't do a lot, but I do have a couple photos. So I have some just small photos and only one 4 by 6. So I'll just be filling in the rest with some other things. I have also kind of narrowed down some of the papers and cards that I want to use for this spread, just to kind of narrow my color scheme and make it a little bit easier. I'm also going to be using the alphas from the scrapbook add-on kit instead of the alphas that were in the Life Crafted kit. These were just a little bit too bright for the colors I had picked and for my photos. And I didn't like the red in my photos with this very bright pink. So I've pulled these out of the scrapbook add-on. There aren't any numbers in here, but I think I know how I'm going to get around that problem. Other than that, I'm just going to play around with the things I've pulled out and see what I can come up with. So I'm going to start by laying out my photos where I think I might want to keep them. They do actually end up staying right in that spot, so I don't move them around at all, but I do move around the cards a little bit. So like I said, I had pulled out a few of the cards from the kit just to narrow down my choices a little bit, all in this kind of pink and green and blue and black color scheme that I have going on, with a little bit of that peachy color as well. So I didn't have the whole kit to work through, and that made this process just go a lot faster. So you can see I've already picked out all the cards I want to use. It went really quick. Actually, this entire spread went so fast. It was so easy to put together, and I really loved the way it turned out. So for the photo that I'm working on right now, I decided to use the bookmark because I wanted more of that pinky peach color. And I wanted it in a certain spot in the bookmark. So I adhered my photo down first and then trimmed it down to be 4 inches. For this one, I'm thinking of cutting around the bottom of that banner so that it will overlap my photo, but I don't end up doing that. I end up finding another banner to add on top of it, and then it would have just covered up too much of the photo, so I leave it as it is. Right now, I've pulled out the ephemera pack, and I have to say this ephemera pack is one of the best I have ever seen from Citrus Twist. I have been a fan of Citrus Twist for quite a while now, and I love this die cut pack. It is so full of good stuff. Can you see all those gold glittery stars at the top of the page? Yeah, I actually don't end up using any of them on this spread. You'll see at the very end, I tried to put a few around the page, and in person it just looked like too much, although on camera I actually liked the way it looked. So I'm actually thinking about going back and adding a few, but there are so many, and they're so sparkly and so pretty. Yeah, this is a good one. So I'm just kind of randomly plopping things down where I think they might work. I've pulled out a few extras that might work on this page, just in the same colors and with sentiments that work with my photos. I'm doing the same with these fabric die cuts as well. These are also awesome. They have a slick back so that you can easily add adhesive, and then they just stick down to your page. So I've added 3 to my spread so far. I do end up using all 3 of those. I have also pulled out the top part of that bookmark to use on my 4 by 6 card at the bottom, and I'm just going to end up adding some handwritten journaling to that. So right now I'm working on this photo, this card. I wanted to use that frame, but it was too small for my photo, so I'm just going to use it behind my photo just as kind of a mat. So I've cut it in half, and I'm just rounding off the corners of the part that I cut, and that's just so that both halves match. and I'm just adding that to opposite corners of my photo. It doesn't cover the entire photo, of course, as a matte, but it covers enough to get the gist, and that's really all that matters. I'm also adding a couple other die cuts to this card just to finish it out, and I like the way that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. There's a black line on this card, but I actually end up covering up most of it. You see a little bit there at the top, which is at the end where I thought I might place a star like that, but I don't actually end up doing it. It doesn't bother me that you can still see a little bit of it sticking out. I added a fabric die cut to the card or the photo that I had put on the bookmark, and then I'm also looking at this bottom one. I used a ticket from the die cut pack and then another fabric die cut as well, and I've layered those up. I'm going to add this label in there as well, just to have a little place to add a bit of journaling, and then that whole little cluster is going to get glued down to this photo, and then I'll just trim off the top part of that sticks out. And there was a little string hanging off that I just clipped off with my scissors, and this is where I decided not to cut around the bottom of that banner, and instead to just add this fabric die cut banner to the top instead, so that you can see more of my photo. I also added a couple gold staples, and then I go back and add gold staples to all the other places where I had the fabric banners. For this one, I wasn't quite sure. I knew it was just going to be a filler card, but I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So I was playing around with some labels. I'm going to cut out the pink label from the label cut apart sheet that comes in the Life Crafted kit, and try that behind this fabric die cut, but I wasn't really happy with that either. That's when I decided to look through the stamps to see if there was anything I could add, and I knew there was some circular stamps, and I decided to go with this one from the Traveler's Notebook add-on stamp set, but I'm going to hold off and do all of my stamping once I have all the other things adhered down. So moving on to this journaling card, I'm adding the top of that bookmark, and then another die cut from the die cut pack, just to give myself a little bit more space to add some journaling. And then I decided to go ahead and add this label that I had cut out of the label cut aparts to the top, just to bring in some of that light pink and to give just another added layer for some extra interest. And so it's time to do my stamping, so I've gone and pulled out my ink and my stamp block, and I'm going to start with this stamp from the 4x6 stamp add-on. This is the This Is Life stamp, and it just says Life right now, so I've added that to the pink label, and I'm going to tuck that in between those two journaling spots that I have on this card. I'm also going to stamp around this this fabric tag now, so I'm going to use that circular stamp or half circle stamp that says This Is My Daily Life, and I figured out I could get it to stamp 3 times around this die cut so that it would make a full circle. And I do have to kind of alter the curvature of this stamp a little bit on my stamp block, which is super easy to do. You can curve any of your stamps, any of your clear acrylic stamps, pretty easily, and they will bounce right back to their original shape once you pull them off of the block. So I got it to curve right around this circle, and I am just going to stamp it 3 times, trying my best to line it up as best I can. It does an okay job. It is a little bit off, but it doesn't bother me, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. And of course, before I use any of these stamps, I'm just giving them a little rub with my sand eraser to prime them, to make sure that I get a nice, clean, crisp image each time I stamp. So I'm moving on to my title card. Like I said, I'm using the alphas from the scrapbook add-on for this month because of the color, the blue color in them. It does pull in some of the blue in my photos, and I've used this color blue throughout the embellishments as well. So because they don't have numbers on them, I've just spelled out week 1. It's an easy one to spell out. I had to go away and find a date stamp that had 2020 on it, but I finally did find one. And I had pulled out the back of one of the stamps to mask off part of the date stamp while I was stamping, but I had never stamped 2020, so I didn't actually need to use it. There was no ink on it to have to worry about. So I thought about adding something else to my title card, but I end up just leaving it as it is. I really like the ledger pattern, and I didn't have anything else to add. Normally, I might add a photo or some journaling there, but I didn't have anything else to say, and I didn't have any more photos, so I just ended up leaving it, and I like the way that it looks. So as a finishing touch, I'm going to add a few of the puffy stickers from the Life Crafted kit. I'm just playing around with what works. I added a couple hearts, one to the top right card next to the die cut heart. I also added a banner to that photo. And then I've also added a heart to the bottom 4x6 next to that fabric die cut. And this is where I was playing around with the gold stars, but like I said, I pull them off. I may go back and add them because I really do like the way they look now that I'm watching the video. But otherwise, that's it for this spread. It was super fast to put together. It came together so easily, and like I said, I really love the way it turns out. I hope that you like it as well. I hope that you found some inspiration for how to use your kits in your documenting, and I hope that if you did like it, you'll give this video a thumbs up to let us know that you did. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all back here very soon.